well, it sounds like you're creating the works of art in order to express yourself, in order to live the life as who you are as a person, but also you need food, you need clothing, you need a place to live. How are you balancing that out? And how did selling out play into that or not?
Well, I want to step back for a moment and talk about what I think art is, because I think people don't really understand it in this country even a little bit. I don't think there's a language around art, and I don't think people understand the role of the artist or how to even make sense of artists on their tax forms. Like, what is this? What are you doing? What do you mean you don't have a job? What is this kind of payment that you're getting? Why don't you, I've dealt with this my whole life. It's almost like we're subalterns. We don't have a proper place. There's no stature accorded to the artist in society. For me, art is non-transactional in its very essence, meaning I am not here to extort something from you and get a payment. I am giving you something from a very deep place in me that may be distressing, discomforting. It might tell you something that you don't want to hear, but you need to hear. It might show you something that feels unfamiliar, but you might need to find a new way to assimilate it. I'm giving something of myself as an act of generosity in order to fortify this culture in a way that it might not even understand it needs to be fortified. That's what I believe art in its essence really is. It's not giving you something that you already understand or believe you understand. It's turning upside down what you think you understand so that you can understand it better, right? Or as Hegel would say, it's turning it right side up. So, so that's what I think it is. But I think in America, we're so suspicious of anything that is not a transaction that art almost becomes the artist is vilified in this society because we're not playing the capitalist game in the same way. And we're giving what Lewis Hyde calls a gift. Other people call it a gift too, but I'm thinking of Lewis Hyde's book about the gift economy. And I think so. I think there's something so pure hearted about it. I think a lot of people in America don't really know what to make of that. And the idea of funding around art sounds like a scam. When I won the Tony Award, I made a plea and said, please, we have to fund the arts. I mean, I saw what happened in my lifetime to the National Endowment of the Arts. And then I looked online at one point and saw all these people kind of lambasting me for saying that. And artists want a free ride and you should do what everyone else wants. And I just thought, oh, there's such an impoverished language around what art is. And actually, it made me so sad. And it spoke to a soul sickness at the core of this country, and that is related to how art is meant to work in this ecology, which it doesn't. There is no ecology that includes art, and there is not really an understanding of it. There's less and less teaching around it in the schools. The liberal arts right now are kind of denigrated because what's the point? I mean, higher education is becoming like trade schools. Like you pay your money and you get some sort of now you can be a plumber. Okay, go make your money. Okay, that's it. Everything is instrumentalized, and because people don't always know how to instrumentalize a work of art, because it applies to different kinds of faculties in human beings, they reject it and they dismiss it categorically. I think it's a crisis because it relates to the way people perceive their own humanity and the humanity of others. And we are in a crisis of humanity in this nation and around the world.
You talked about this funding for the arts, and where my brain goes is we put it in the jar that says philanthropy. But what you presented was creating value. I mean, is value coming at this from a traditional sense of economics, but it is the value that I am going to receive, and it shouldn't just be a philanthropic bucket. It's an investment. It's really important for the culture, and that's a powerful perspective to think differently about the arts.